Don't look under the bed. Don't you do it! Hello, and welcome to my mostly incomprehensible review of the movie Don't Look Under the Bed. As a child, I was warned by my older sister that I should not watch this movie if I ever want to sleep again. And I like sleep, so I never watched the movie. Until, of course, this week, where as an adult woman, I finally decided to dive in and watch this movie. Keep in mind that I actually went into watching this movie completely blind. I did not know the premise of it, so I just wanted to keep my mind open and my fear alive. Here's what we have going on. We have our main protagonist, this is Francis, who is being basically hunted by the boogeyman. Yeah, you heard that. The Boogeyman. This is a kid's film from Disney Channel. So we have our main character, Francis. She has a younger brother, Darwin, and an older brother. I forget his name. He's not that important. We also have the imaginary friend, Larry, and Francis's parents. For a film that came out in 1999, I was actually quite surprised at the progressive topics they were willing to grasp onto. There were also less progressive parts, but that is another story. And it was surprisingly well acted. I mean, not Oscar worthy, but we're talking Disney Channel, so I was expecting really bad. And this was decent for a Disney movie. The only character in this movie that can help her through this terrifying journey is Larry. He is an imaginary friend. He's also not Francis's imaginary friend. We later find out that this is Darwin, her younger brother's imaginary friend. And Darwin has stopped believing in him, which means that Larry is turning into a boogeyman. Because if a kid stops believing in their imaginary friend too soon, then that friend becomes a boogeyman. Any guesses as to who this main boogeyman may be? Yes, it is revealed that the main boogeyman who has been hunting Francis is Francis's old imaginary friend. She simply stopped believing way too soon and forced her imaginary friend to become a boogeyman. So I use the phrase hunting, but technically he's not trying to kill her. He's just framing her for these absolutely outlandish pranks that there's no way one person could pull off by themselves. Like there's this whole pool of jello, and look at all these eggs. One person could not pull that off by themselves. Also, he caused a full-on blackout, and the whole town and her family somehow still believe that it could be Francis, even though she is the least likely to pull any of this stuff off. She's very logical and not exactly a prankster. Anyway, it's a movie, so the town does believe it's her. The only way that they can get out of this is by stopping the boogeyman. A lot happens in this movie. At one point, beginning of Act 3, Darwin, the little brother, is kidnapped by the boogeyman, who tries to kill the child. Yeah, the boogeyman tries to kill this little kid. Of course, Francis, the older sister, is not going to let this fly. So Francis and Larry take a journey underneath Francis's bed, which is where this boogeyman lives. It's called the Boogie World. They are able to save Darwin when they get there. Francis pulls this off because she realizes something very important. As a kid, she was forced to watch her younger brother suffer through leukemia. Having no way of helping him, she decided her only solution was to grow up, which meant that she had to stop believing in anything imaginary, and she had to crack down on being logical. Throughout this process, she also convinced her younger brother that he had to grow up, meaning they both grew up way too soon because of this horrible tragedy that they were going through. Throughout that process, their imaginary friends began to disappear. We watched it in real time with Larry, and that explained to us what must have happened to Zoe, which is the actual name of the boogeyman. I was expecting this movie to be creepy because of what I heard. What I was not expecting was the deep commentary that came with this decently fleshed out storyline. I say decently. It ain't perfect. There are plenty of plot holes and things that go wrong. They end up defeating the boogeyman by actually saving the boogeyman. The power was internal. It's not like they had a bunch of weapons and decided to kill this monster. They knew that bitterness comes from within and that it can be saved by someone else just caring. So at the core of this film is actually what tragedy can do to a young child. Frances had to witness her younger brother going through horrible illness that nobody should have to go through. And throughout that journey, she made solutions that kids should not have to decide. It did make her grow up way too fast. But later on in this particular part of her life, she sees that she is allowed to still have that imagination, that childlike wonder within her, which is actually a very beautiful core to a story that you would imagine would be off the wall because it's about a boogeyman. We're going to pause your viewing for just a moment so that we can take a quick commercial break. If you're planning on gearing up for your Halloween season, I would really appreciate you taking a look at Eversol clothing. I will have a link in the description below. Not only did you terrify children, but you also taught them a heartfelt lesson. Good job. To wrap things up, just remember, if you feel like you grew up way too fast as a child, that probably means that you have a boogeyman hiding underneath your bed. See you later!